Hello and welcome to the Central Nerdous System podcast, where everything is nerdy like us. I'm John, and I'm joined here today by Tyler.
Hello, everybody.
And that's about it. We only have a two-person podcast today,
That's
but
about it.
It should be fun. We're going to be talking about the Sony conference today, which is part of our series of E3 conferences. If you missed our previous videos, go check them out on our channel. We did one so far on the Bethesda conference, and we did one on Microsoft. Also, a EA conference one's coming out as well.
Yeah, we're also going to be covering later on today, probably Nintendo, which just happened, and Square Enix, and Ubisoft as well, like we said. So let's jump right into it. I mean, opening thoughts, John, about Sony's conference. Before we get into what the juicy stuff that they had there, I mean, what were your thoughts? Like, how well do you think, compared to Microsoft and the other companies, how well does you think Sony varied? Do you think they're number one, or?
I think Sony had a lot of really cool stuff here. Though I was excited with Microsoft's conference this year. I thought it was pretty good. I will say Sony did a really good job. They may be one of my competitors for best conference simply because some of the titles in here are really strong. There's some in here that I'm still a little like meh on. I think every conference this year had like a lot of good, but a lot of like down points as well.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of potential as far as coming out of Sony. I mean, you can see they had a great year last year. You know, obviously that was the biggest year that PlayStation's had in a long time, and they're hoping to follow up on it. So they're gonna just keep going with the path that they've chose. And if they just don't break off of it and do anything weird, they should be fine, you know. And so, I mean, they definitely did a good job, I think. So, let's just start it off here. What was the first game?
So the first thing, now I want to point out something funny. Our friend Derek, who was in the previous two podcasts, he linked me to this E3 bingo card, and one of the things on there is that The Last Guardian will not be announced again. Well, I guess this year you can't check that off because they announced The Last Guardian once again. They showed the trailer for it.
That was their opener.
Mm-hmm. And I say that's a pretty strong opener because that game has been anticipated for how many years now? It's been, probably over a decade that they've been working on this thing.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, it's definitely a game that with the next gen, I feel like can look really beautiful. Because back in the day on the PS2, those graphics were beautiful on the hardware they had. I mean...
Yeah, with Ico and Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, and it was awesome. So from the trailer that they showed, just a little bit of the gameplay they had there. I mean, you could tell just by the one creature, whatever you want to call it, Griffin, or I don't know what you want to call that thing. Just you could tell by it's the same style as Shadow of the Colossus. You could feel the immersion, like you get really involved in the scenery and the surrounding just off that one little spot thing they showed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty excited because with Shadow of the Colossus, I play it a bit. I suck at it, so I haven't beaten it yet. But I was excited when they said that they were going to be coming out with something, and this was way back in the day. So they were now originally going to put this game on PS3, but that got pushed back, so now they're on PlayStation 4. So hopefully they can get this game out before, PlayStation 5 comes out.
Oh. Well, the way it looks, I feel like this is going to be a long console life. I'm feeling a long console life out of these next gens for some reason, because you can see already in the dramatic change just based off the games that have already been showcased at this E3. Mm-hmm. Graphically, they're already a lot better than last year. I mean, now the teams, the development teams are now working more into, they can use the hardware more. They're working better with it. I mean, when you have new hardware, that happens with every console. You can always see, like, when you saw Xbox 360 and PS3 release first, the graphics were like, oh, these are really good. But then the next year, it's like, whoa, these are amazing. It's just a dramatic change from the first year to the next. And I feel like that's just what this E3 kind of showed.
Yeah, because now that the consoles are out, developers have had time to work with them, see what the limits of the engines are, and the how they can do graphically on them. Mm-hmm. Now they know what they can do, and they can make some stunning stuff. Because before, I mean, like, you could push the limits on, like, say, your cinematic trailers. Because you can make them at a different program, or if you make them in-engine on the machine, you're not having to factor in any gameplay elements, so that adds some extra space for you. But here, now, you got some really nice-looking games. And Well, I also talk about the next game on here, Horizon Zero Dawn, which you were pretty interested in.
Yeah, I apparently this is made by the same people that made crap. Oh, I just had it in my head. I forget what game they made, but they also made. But from the looks of it, it just it has a really good feel to it. Like you can get vibes from like the Witcher 3, like with a more female strong character. You have the scenery and the whole robot meets like humanoid things look really cool. I mean one thing I can really say I think the coolest part from like gameplay standpoint is that when she fell down the mountain and you automatically go into the bush, right? And they have the character have more of a like a voice, so she like talks when things are happening because you're kind of by yourself. I like that. It kind of gives you more immersed with the character a little bit. And when she was in the brush a little bit, all of a sudden she sees one of the weird robot things, and you do an attack, rip off the leg of it, and then that just becomes a weapon. I mean, like that really is interesting to me. I mean, maybe there's other ways to get new weapons off of new items and stuff.
Oh yeah, I think I remember this. I remember we were watching the trailer and like I think they ripped like this laser cannon off the back of something and just used it against them.
Yeah, no, that's something that was really cool.
I was watching the Video Games Awesome stream of it, and they were just like, "Dude, they just ripped off that thing."
Yeah, and I feel like the whole the control system looks really really smooth. I always am a big fan of using like, and when I play RPGs, I usually like to play as like a rogue or an archer. And I really like the crossover element of like how she's got the different abilities with the bow and arrow, which are really cool. But she can also do other things besides that. But I feel like it looks really smooth, and it's a really nice new fresh game, a new face that it did a really good job really showing itself off.
Just as an offshoot of this, I want to know what do you think of all the new IPs that have been coming out? I mean, just in general, both for Sony, Microsoft, all these new titles that are coming out.
That's got to happen. I mean, if they want to have a new console life that's going to last a long time, you need new IPs, because all the older IPs, like for example with Sony, Uncharted, big with the PS3 era. You have those big franchises that have been developed, but the new consoles haven't developed an image yet. You know what I mean? Like the PS3 is known for its franchises, the certain franchises. Like of course Xbox 360 has got freaking Halo, freaking PS3's got Uncharted. You know what I mean? They have their character. That's their brand. And I feel like developing these new IPs is giving the console an image, and that's the direction that they need to head into. And I feel like that's what this conference did. I feel like it really showed that the PS4 isn't just making the older game franchises graphically better. I mean, that's what we were hoping. We don't want that to happen. We don't want to just keep seeing the same games over and over again, just with new graphics and some new features. We want to see new characters. We want to get more involved with the new game. And I think with this game here, I feel like that's really doing a good job with that.
I also got that same kind of vibe in the Microsoft conference when they announced Recore, because the main character, she has a cool visual style. It's a female protagonist, which is not the most common that you see. I'm glad that a lot of developers now are starting to get more female protagonists in the leading roles of the
instead of things like Bayonetta
game. Instead of just Bayonetta or whatnot. Also, Robot Doggy is cute in Recore. Gotta love Robot Doggy.
Yeah.
So I'm liking all these new IPs that they've been releasing. I can't think of many that were duds so far.
No, a lot of them are really unique. I think one I could definitely say, I might say it for the Ubisoft. We'll talk about more on the Ubisoft. Is the For Honor game? It's a sword fighting game. It's like it's a 4v4 multiplayer game, but like you're in the midst of an actual war. So like you have the troops around you fighting each other, but you have only 3 other people with you on your team that are more bigger guys. You're the main captain in a sense, but the other team, you don't know where they are, and you're trying to fend off their henchmen, basically their little like the fighters and stuff. You're trying to fight them off, but then the main guys that are trying to kill you are in the midst of the war. So you're trying to worry about them and the other guys that are just AI. and I feel like it's really immersive and really gets you involved because like it's more of a slower paced sword fighting game. But again, we can get more into that in the Ubisoft conference. So
yeah, let's move forward in the Sony and talk about Hitman.
yeah,
They put out a trailer for that one. It was a really nice looking trailer. Like, I'm not sure if we're gonna do it this year. 'Cause I know we did last year. We did a top 10 E3 trailers. I would consider this one so far in the running for that top 10 list because it was a really well made trailer. It looked beautiful.
I can say this year E3 last year was more of the taste of it was more of a taste of E3. Like you got all the trailers, but you didn't get a lot of gameplay last year. You know, you got like these things are gonna happen, but that's about it. This year was more like we're gonna get into the depths. We're gonna show you what the game does. Hitman again was one of the few trailers that really was stood out amongst a lot of the games that they were showcasing. But it looks phenomenal.
Yeah, to simplify what you said, last year was more of the hype. This year is more of the demonstration.
Yeah, there was a lot more demos showcased. I mean, because again, last year they were like, okay, these games are going to come out next year or so, so we'll have more. So now we have the demos now, and now you get to see are these games going to actually be good? Because it's always more of like a foggy situation where you have like a game that we'll talk about later is the Division. Last year had a beautiful trailer, probably one of the best ones, Tom Clancy The Division, and they showcased the demo this year, and it's really good. I mean, it really followed to what the expectations were. It really did a good job with the hype. If the demo can follow the hype, then the game will be good, hopefully.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Hitman in a future podcast because they go into more detail about it, I believe during the Square Enix conference. So let's move on to the next thing. It was a quick thing. I wasn't expecting this one, and it's kind of a surprise. Street Fighter V Rise Up, which is going to be a PS4 and PC exclusive.
Yeah, no, that was a big one there.
Which is kind of interesting because didn't Nintendo announce that Street Fighter characters are going to be in Smash?
They no, they have the Street Fighter characters. I don't think they're because it's probably an older character. It's more of
it's like Ryu and Ken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be in Smash. I believe they announced that like at the very start of E3.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
It's kind of interesting that they licensed the characters for the Nintendo game, but they're doing a PS4 exclusive.
Well, I mean, it's more just the character they're licensing. It's not really a whole game. So it's because they're doing it more of a DLC thing. So it's not, in their sense, it's just more like, okay, yeah, you can have it. I mean, they probably did a good deal with it, but it's not a big deal.
Though maybe it's something like maybe PS4 gets it first and then eventually the other consoles will get it.
That's what PS4's been doing. I mean, they've been doing agreements where like they'll make people want to buy a PS4 because it's there for that console, but then it's just changed to all consoles. That
like,
usually
Microsoft gets that happening to it a lot.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, it's exclusive for like a month." But no, it's interesting.
Did you see the trailer for Street Fighter V?
Yeah, I did see it.
I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah, no,
I saw it was really nice.
A lot of the animations with the fight style, a lot of the moves look really, really cool. I think one of the coolest ones was he was doing a spin attack, and it was like some like the paint schemes of like Chinese like letters and stuff like that all over. But it looked really, really crisp, and the art style looks really cool. So I'm not big into Street Fighter myself. I never really gotten big into those kind of games. I've never really been into fighting games except Smash, but then I started playing Injustice. This is the first really fighting game I ever played, like a lot of. I probably get into it now that I like them a little more, but it doesn't excite me as much as the other stuff.
Yeah, I gotta get into Skullgirls more because I have the game, I've played it a bit, but it's not very like beginner user friendly. So it kind of expects you to know how to play a fighting game like automatically from the get-go. So I had to do a lot of learning for it. So I might pick it up again because it's a fun game, really good art style and whatnot. But it's just something that you need to learn a bit more.
Yeah, well, definitely fighting games are more about learning your move sets and learning how to complement them in different situations. It's more technical than like Smash, where you can just button mash and do what the hell you want. But I digress about that.
Yeah, let's move on to the next thing, which was a huge thing that happened. It was a No Man's Sky gameplay trailer.
Yes.
And demonstration for it. Like, because this game, we were hoping to see what it would entail, what it would look like more in depth. We saw the trailer last year, and we all got blown away. So,
the thing that blows me away the most about this game is the fact that the man that created it himself, this is what probably really they did really well, is that he's just like, I've never been here before, so we're just gonna go. The fact, I don't know how you code that. That's what's really mind-blowing to me. He literally created a universe that he doesn't even know what the hell's in it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
The only thing they said about the demonstration, they mentioned it as like an asterisk in there. They said like we programmed it so that no matter where you land, a beacon will be there, so we could show you what the beacon's like.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it does.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And also, like, they knew they had something on their hands here. They're like, so yeah, all these little white dots is its own solar system with planets. And then they zoomed out like 4 bajillion times to show you this infinite world.
I've seen that before, but they never really talked about it. You know, you see the trailer of it, the same shot, but they never really had the guy live playing it. And I like how his approach was. It's just he was so laid back.
Mm-hmm.
And usually he wasn't hyping it, you know? He's just more like, yeah, this game exists.
This is our product.
Awesome. Yeah. And
interested?
Yeah, that's kind of the approach he had towards it. He's just like, yeah, you want to play my game? Sure. Which, I mean, it was an independent project, but it's getting hyped up to be more like a AAA game.
Yeah.
You know, it's an independent game that's getting so much media attention that I'm surprised
just the idea of that scale, though. That scale in the game of what you can do.
I mean, I think the game for people that are really big into exploration games are just gonna. It's just you'll never get bored.
It's like the ultimate exploration game.
It is. It really is. I mean, I think that you could also. I think it's cool that you can randomly just jump into like space fights with your spaceship randomly whenever the hell you want. Hopefully they do integrate with more like player and player contact. If they can really integrate that, I think that'd be really cool. I mean, he said that at the end of it, there's going to be trading and fighting and stuff like that. So wherever it goes,
I think that's what will get people to stay. If you have, that trading, maybe if there's like settlements being set up and whatnot, then that will keep the longevity going. Because if it's just like an open sandbox, you can explore a bit. It'll be fun, but
I think it'd be cool if they can claim a planet. Like, if you find your own planet, you can claim it, and, like, you can develop your own little city on that planet, like, with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if there's that many planets, there can be a planet for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you can have your own planet that you're the only person that has that planet exactly that way. I mean, they must have do a lot of programming and kind of the same along the lines as Minecraft does, where they just randomly develop a planet, probably with certain coding and certain terrain they probably have programmed in there.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, but it's still mind-blowing to me how it just works. It just...
Yeah, we're also not really sure of the full scale of how big these planets are. They could all just be, like, microplanets. But even still, that is impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely a surreal type of game. I think that's what really is interesting. I think that's what might turn off some people. Because if you're trying to get the everyday gamer, casual gamer, surreal doesn't work with them. At least what I've noticed, the surreal vibe it turns them off. If it was like, but again, it has to be that surreal, simple vibe. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have been able to program it this extensively. Because if it was graphically amazing, the game wouldn't be able to run. Like, you know how big the gigabyte, how much the download would be?
Oh, yeah. That would be pretty hefty.
I'm wondering how big the game is now.
Yeah, because if it's that big.
Yeah, I mean, like freaking Grand Theft Auto 5 was 60 gigs. I mean, imagine what Falling Skies might be. I don't know. That's something that we'll find out in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely got me hyped. When I was watching it with friends, Chico, he said, like, after that going to one play, I'm going to find them all. So he was excited about it, too.
I know. It looks like a game that I'll probably really like. I mean, but again, he said at the end of it, he's like, yes, we don't have a release date yet, but just make sure it is coming out. It will be done soon. So we don't know when that will be. I feel like it's going to be by next year. I don't think it's going to be released this year, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be this year either.
I
Something
feel like
that big, they probably need to do more testing and development with it.
Oh, because there's probably a lot of bugs. Because if you have that many planets you've never been to, you don't know if it bugged out or not. So
it would have been hilarious if they went to the planet, it was just like this glitchy mess.
Yeah, then they're like, that's what they said. Like, we don't know what we're gonna find. Like, that's what they were saying. So they could have probably found a bug.
I also like what he said. He was like, "Yeah, I've seen better planets, but I've seen worse too."
yeah. And I think that's the casual vibe that might do really well for the media version. I mean, I feel like marketing with that way is better than like, we have a new game for you. You're
gonna love Disney Infinity.
Yeah, Disney Infinity. Actually, let's go right into that. Let's just
dive. Yeah. We'll skip the next thing for a minute. Let's talk about Disney Infinity. Did you see how excited he was about Disney Infinity getting Star Wars characters?
Well, I mean, he must be working for Disney, so you got to be happy there. I mean, they definitely hired the right guy to portray the Disney image of happy and go lucky guy. But I think it's cool for kids. It's cool, but it's not. I don't think they needed to give that much attention to it. I mean, if they're trying to get, I feel like they have the gamers for PS4. Now they're trying to get the kids. So it's not a bad idea, but I feel like they spent too much time on it, talking about it. I feel like that was my only flaw with it for the whole conference, is that they took too much time in the Disney Infinity, but they did merge right into Star Wars Battlefront right after that. So I guess that was a transition.
Yeah, I think they probably wanted to do that because they're like, well, we got Star Wars characters here, so we're going to talk about Battlefront and Uncharted to end our conference.
Yeah.
So let's just stick it here. We'll have the hype of Call of Duty kind of be like the thing that leads you into Disney Infinity, which will probably bring you down a bit from like.
But then they'll bring you right back up at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here, why don't we double back a bit? Let's talk about something that really isn't a game per se. Dreams by who did you say developed this? It was Little Big Planet guys. You said.
Well, the guys that created Little Big, I think it was the guys that created the newer Little Big Planet, which was a little buggy. But they did create Little Big Planet, and basically, it's another creation game. It's basically they took their idea of user created content and just made it the game. Yeah. So Little Big Planet runs off user created content. That's what they're known for. So they decided to take that vibe, put it in this game. And I think it's interesting that they're using the DualShock controller with the gyro and this gyroscope inside it and all that stuff. They're using all those technologies to do whatever you want with this game, or experience, if you want to call it. I feel like I'd call it more of an experience.
It feels like more of like a sculpting and animation engine more than the game.
And I feel like it's just more like, hey, I feel like this would be cool for like if you have a kid. So like maybe some people make some kid-friendly content. You can just put it on in front of your kids, and they can watch it, and it might be really cool that way. Or just creating. I mean, I know I feel like you'd be interested in just creating some weird scenario that would be really cool to watch.
What makes you think I would create something weird?
I mean, the opening thing was a polar bear playing the piano in a forest.
Well, no, that was the later thing, because they merged everything together later on. They started off with just an old guy playing in the forest.
Oh, that's right.
Then they did that cute thing with the polar bears, which was adorable.
Yeah, the polar bear licking the. Oh yeah, it was.
But the first thing everyone's gonna do is just make dicks. That's gonna be the first thing when this game comes out.
They're like, we are for user created content. Everything that the people make is great.
Dick,
and then they just show a floppy dick around, like
flopping dicks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think it's okay. As someone who's used industry standard programs like ZBrush for sculpting and 3ds Max for animation, it's intriguing. I'm not sure if it's going to be something that you would use as an industry standard thing.
Well, I'm wondering what the price of it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be full price. It might be maybe $30. I think it might be around that. I don't think it's gonna be it's not a full price game. It's not.
Because it's more of it's a thing you play around with. It's kind of like.
And heck, cool whatever they do, and they might. You're not even gonna probably have to buy it's probably just downloadable. I think it's just a downloadable game. I don't think you're gonna have a hard copy of it. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know how they didn't really have a release date for it, so there might be still a lot more they can do with it.
Yeah. So the next thing on our list is Firewatch. You're gonna have to tell me a little bit more about this one. I'm not too familiar on the trailer for it. I kind of missed it.
Firewatch is a game. It's still early in development, but it's basically a game where you explore and do certain things. You're basically you're a Firewatch tower guy. Like you watch for fires and you watch like the hillside and mountains and stuff like that. But the only form of guidance is this little radio that's talking to you.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, you'll love it because it's all narrative. Like your character interacts with the radio the entire time you're doing something. So like you'll walk into a cave, like they'll be like, you'll walk into a cave. This was showed in the trailer. It's like, yeah, maybe you should watch out for the cave. It's like, you're already in the cave, aren't you? Yeah, so. And like it really, whatever you're doing, it triggers what the radio says. So like it's really interactive with the narrative. That's kind of a game you'd probably be really into.
Yeah. See, I forgot about what it was because there's a lot of games going on here. It's hard to remember all of them one by one. But yeah, I think they said it was like you're in Wyoming, which is a different place for a game. I don't really know any other games that take place in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Though apparently based on the Stanley Parable, the king of Wyoming is where makes all the video games. So
that's what I'm wondering. Who made Stanley Parable?
It was Galactic Cafe.
Yeah, this has that same vibe. I know it's not them, but it's not them. A lot, but it has a huge vibe of that. Like it's just the narrative is not as it's different. It's just really cool. I don't think it's gonna be.
Well, it's a narrative exploration game.
Basically, but you do tasks and challenges and stuff like that.
Where Stanley Parable is more of like a experience and a commentary on the illusion of choice.
Exactly, and I feel like the experience with the immersion with the narrative is probably where it's similar, and then I think that's what really might. I mean, it really drew my attention. I thought it was really unique. It's a game that is really out of the box, and it's again, remember what we said, these new consoles need some IPs that just to give it an image, and I like these newer games that are coming out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look out for more on that because I kind of want to know some more details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The funny thing is, before we continue to the next topic, is that so far my favorite game coming out of this conference has the least information on it almost. It's Cuphead. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Cuphead was pretty cool.
Yeah, because they mentioned it last year at E3 too, but it was still very little. All the trailers were like 30 seconds long and... Like there's not much on it.
I mean, it's just. I remember my girlfriend was watching, and she's just like, "Is that like an old cartoon?" I'm like, "Well, it's the game." She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's supposed to feel like you're watching an older cartoon, but playing a platformer. Like it's more of like it's an experience. Also, it's really cool how they did it, and it's genius. It's a genius concept for platform lovers. I feel like it's going to be a big hit. I mean, games like you got Shovel Knight that did phenomenal. For unique, cooler platformers, so then throw this in there. You got those people really biting at that. If you make this game, it'll probably be just as big. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, there's a game that had that same vibe with the whole black and white thing. Was the game with Mickey Mouse with the paintbrush?
Oh, Epic Mickey.
The first Epic Mickey, not the second one. The second one wasn't as good as the first one, but the first one was very unique with the platforming levels.
Mm-hmm. And also the visual style, because based on the old Disney cartoons.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, and that's that kind of vibe I got from Cuphead. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. The only thing I worry about with Cuphead is that maybe they focus too much on the art department and not enough on the gameplay.
Well, that's something we gotta see more about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
let's continue. We all know we love Destiny on this show, and they talked a little bit more about it.
Actually,
I still laugh every time because when we did the first podcast on Destiny, everyone was just like, "Oh, Destiny's the best game. I'm gonna throw out the rest of my game library. Destiny's the only game I need." And I'm like, "Well, I think this one thing about the game isn't that good." And you're like, "You shut your mouth, you dirty whore." And then the next game is just like, "Yeah, Destiny sucks." Yeah.
You know what? Shut up. You interviewed us right when we got the game, and everyone had the same exact reaction to the game. And you're just like sitting there laughing your ass off in the second podcast after that one, and you're just, I don't. The game is not.
It's
The
not
more
bad.
no, the more I looked into it, it's not a bad game. It's just it didn't live up to what I thought it was gonna be. Which is not a bad thing. I mean, I didn't know clearly. They didn't really explain clearly what it was really going to be. That was the problem. But definitely they released some new subclasses in there. They definitely released. I think it was a new raid, a new story behind the raids. I feel like there's a whole other chapter to the story now. They're adding. So that was interesting. Again, it's still popular, so they're gonna run on it. They have a lot. I mean, I know Bungie has a lot of material that they can release with DLC and stuff like that. I just don't like the fact that it's so expensive, especially because they put that budget into that game, which they made that budget immediately back and paid for and more, a lot more money. But the budget was also included in this DLC. They're not doing more. A lot of this DLC you see was already made before the game was released. So they don't need to charge so much.
I know, they're just kind of gouging their fans now, and I don't really like that.
No, but that's because they're working with Activision. Because that's who they're crossing over with, and Activision's known for making really expensive DLC for no freaking reason. But they know it's not like it's bad business because they know people will buy it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. People will buy it even if it's like $30 for an expansion. They'll pay for it because they're like they just like the game, and they're not going to change that method if it works. Until people stop buying the DLC, they're going to keep still upcharging that DLC.
Yeah.
I mean, a company that does it really well now. I mean, Nintendo has never done DLC. I mean, I'll merge for example, they've never done DLC before until the Wii U, and recently they've been like with Mario Kart, Smash Bros. Now, and all these newer titles that they're releasing. They're doing these new games for the Wii U. They're adding DLC now, and I just bought the 2 DLCs for Mario Kart 8. Okay, which again is one of my favorite Mario Karts ever. But it was only $11 for both packs, like as a bundle, and it was only $11, and that gave me 4 new cups, a crap ton of characters, and 200cc and a bunch of other things, and that was only for $11. Where like if you were to get all that under an Activision company, it would be like $45 or $30.
And that DLC included my favorite character.
It did include your favorite character, which yeah. Bungie, they're doing what they got to do. They're gonna run with their destiny, and again, main summary is they had to do it because if they didn't talk about it again or add anything more this year, it would die out. So they needed to do this. So overall, I mean, it's cool. They're adding some new stuff, spicing it up a little bit. Hopefully, it's a little better. I might try it out. Might try out the new subclasses if it's depending on how much the DLC.
I was gonna ask, is this enough for you to get back into the swing of the game, or?
That's the question. I don't know. That's something I'll have to find out.
All right. So they talked a little bit more about Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and they announced something there that I thought was pretty cool. The PS4 is going to get exclusive murder mystery missions, which are based on famous authors' works from around that time period.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool because Assassin's Creed, it does work well, with the history of everything, and they try to implement all that stuff in.
But lately, it's not been about history.
Yeah. But I kind of like this concept here because it kind of adds a different aspect to the Assassin's Creed franchise, because I don't think they had murder mysteries in previous Assassin's Creed, at least, not anything like, this.
No, I feel like this is going to be a different approach. It's definitely a different character compared to the other ones, a very unique character. And it might get me to buy it. I mean, I didn't get Black Flag, even though Black Flag visually was really good. It was very good, at least from Lisa. I mean, it's an Assassin's Creed game. It's become kind of predictable. That's the problem. If I go into about it, because I played the first, second. I played Revelations. I played Brotherhood.
Brotherhood Productions.
Shout out to my boy Naz. No, I'm just kidding. But I played them all until the third one. And the third one again was the most unique one out of them. But I feel like I connected with the characters so much. From the first through the third one, I connected to the Ezio or whatever. I connected to that character so much, and I loved Assassin's Creed 2. It was my favorite one. That's what started the Ezio series. And I feel like that they just overkilled it, because they'll never run out of timelines. If they're just going off history, they could just pick any period of time where there was a war or anything, and just throw in an assassin with like some form of backstory, and you got a game. That's basically what they're doing. And I think with this newer game, I feel like it's got more story to it. I feel like this might be a character I'll get attached to. Mm-hmm. The one from Black Flag was Black Flag.
Whoa, buddy! This is 2015.
I'm sorry. The one from Black Flag.
That was racist and oh my god.
You know what? Just ignore it. Just ignore it. The one from Black Flag was very dry. He didn't have a lot of character. I didn't like him that much, and I think that's why it turned me off of him the game. Same with the third one. I didn't like the character that much. Very dry, very boring. But I think this one might be really cool.
The only thing I'm hoping with this Assassin's Creed is that they fix the issues that they had with Unity. How it was a buggy mess.
Well, I feel like they if you watch the Ubisoft conference, they kind of like shunned their own game a little bit. They're like, trust me, we've had a rough year. We're back on track now. that was basically what. Yeah, you didn't see that game. That just never happen.
You saw nothing.
Yeah. I never really looked up into how well they fixed it. Did they patch it enough for it to be playable?
I don't know.
I didn't hear a lot about the game. I feel like it just sucked.
Like I heard, like when I watched like year-end stuff on worst game of the year, that made like almost everyone's lists. Yeah. And they didn't make any announcement of like they fixed it or anything. I think maybe like I think they were having issues with like servers being up or something. I think those probably got fixed, but maybe some of the in-game graphical issues and whatnot didn't get
those
fixed.
Pictures?
Yeah,
oh, they're funny.
They're funny. I showed my dad. He was like, "Oh Jesus!"
The face cam pictures from the basketball. Mm-hmm. If you remember from NBA 2K15 with the scary looking creepy things.
They did a demonstration on that at the EA one. They did one for the new NBA Live.
Better?
It worked, but you don't know because he was in uneven lighting, but on screen it was even lighting. So either we were thinking one of two things. Either one, the software is good enough where it can adjust for lighting changes.
Yeah.
Or they're dirty liars and they just they put up.
They just put up their own thing that was
that they did in perfect lighting.
Yeah.
Mhm. See, that's the issue with that thing. It gets kind of confused with mustaches and facial hair, and lighting.
Hell, why can't they use the engine that freaking Nintendo uses for your Miis?
That works. Though the thing with that though, it's a cartoony one, so it can make slight mistakes.
Oh yeah.
So it can be more stylistically thing. So that's the difference here. They're trying to make a realistic face. Nintendo, you're just making a Mii, so it just kind of looks like.
I'm just joking. It's just like how awesome it worked when we did it the other day. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
You're perfect, man. You're perfect.
So let's move on to the next two we'll talk about in kind of tandem because they go more into detail on them in a future conference. World of Final Fantasy and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So Final Fantasy VII Remake's got a lot of people excited. World of Final Fantasy, I think maybe not.
Well, that's the thing. That's what these conferences have been doing. They'll show like a game that they know isn't going to be very popular or like do well received first, and then they'll be like, "Oh, forgot to mention we got this awesome game after this."
Yeah, they've been doing that with like the franchise ones because they're like, "So we're releasing this new mobile game of the franchise you love." Nah. We're also releasing a new installment of that game you love.
Yeah. Yeah, we're also casually. But I'm excited for the Final Fantasy VII. It's a game that has needed a remaster for a very long time. It's an older game. It's an older one, but it's definitely one of the favorites, a fan favorite. It has one of the best characters. I mean, Cloud is freaking badass. So,
when they were showing the trailer for it, I wasn't sure what game it was. I thought it was like, what is this, like Watch Dogs or something? And then
you've never really been big into Final Fantasy, so you wouldn't know.
But I saw the sword at the end there, and I was just like, yeah, that's Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's iconic. That's very, very iconic. The sword from Cloud, especially if you at least know enough about video games, you should know that that's Final Fantasy VII, or at least a Final Fantasy game. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely one of the best. I feel like it's one of my favorites. I mean, my brother used to play it all the time on his computer, and I used to watch it, and it was awesome. But I've never played it myself. That's the problem. I've never played the original. So maybe me being able to play the remastered is what's really cool, and I'm really excited for it. Obviously, the other Final Fantasy, whatever it's called,
World of Final Fantasy.
It's yeah.
I want to say though, the trailer was probably the lamest trailer of E3, but I want to hug it so much because it looked so cute.
Yeah, it was cute.
They even used the word "we" to describe them because of how tiny and adorable they are. They're like, the wee little heroes of Final Fantasy are going to fight. Like, I was just like bitch slapped me with sugar.
Final Fantasy's been doing a lot with like smaller projects lately because, excuse me, they have a
little projects.
Yes. They have a game they released for mobile. I forget what it's called. I have it on my phone right now. Let me see what it's called.
I can wait.
Hold on. Just give me a second.
We're killing daylight, Tyler. We're killing daylight.
It's Final Fantasy Record Keeper. If you've ever heard anything about that.
No. Record Keeper?
Keeper.
Oh, Keeper.
It's basically a game where it's free, and it relives your favorite Final Fantasy memories, but with the combat style. But it's like a more of a 2D animation. It's the older games, and you get to relive the older memories from the older games, but quickly on your phone. Like, you just be like, oh, I want to do this one battle from this final boss with these characters and relive it from the stats that you should be at to just try and beat that. Like, you finally played your first kind of genuine RPG with Lisa. I mean, that game.
Yeah.
But it's that same style where you pick an ability, go at it, mm-hmm. But you get to relive it from the older games on your phone. So that's a really cool smaller project that they did. So I think that other game is just one of those smaller projects that they've been working on from Square Enix.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll have to see how that works out. I mean, they talk a little bit more about it in the what was it, the Ubisoft? No, Square Enix podcast conference. They talk more about it. I can tell you a little bit more in detail then. Though also, before I just want to say, you definitely should give Lisa a try if you get the chance. Like, I'm going to probably give Shovel Knight a try soon because Steam Summer Sales is going on.
Shovel Knight, don't get me started on Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a try because that one I missed out on because it was during the Christmas sales, and I had a choice between two games. It was either that or Lisa, a painful RPG, and I'm like, well, Lisa is something I've been waiting for a while, where Shovel Knight is just like kind of, just the curiosity of it for me at the time. So I went with Lisa. I don't regret the decision, but now I want to give Shovel Knight a try. Let's move forward. Devolver Digital has 4 games coming out. They showed quick trailers for all of them. They are Ronin, Eider, Mother Russia Bleeds, and Crossing Souls. I've heard of 2 of these games before E3, which are Ronin and Crossing Souls. I'm a little anticipating Crossing Souls. But I think the only issue I had with Devolver Digital stuff is that of these 4 games, 3 of them look like the same game.
This is actually the one thing that I missed from the conference.
Yeah.
Because, you want to know why?
Why?
We'll just... I was watching... I'll give you the story. I was watching it on my phone at the time. Because I was at my girlfriend's house and her laptop wasn't working. So I was like, I got to watch E3. So I'm watching it live on my phone. All of a sudden... I'm ZD. I'm going to call you when I'm watching the stream. So he calls me. I'm like, ZD, I'm watching E3. What? He's just like, what? I was just seeing what you were doing. I'm
Wanna
like,
go
dude,
swimming?
aren't? Yeah, you wanna go swimming? No, but he's just like, well, okay, you watch E3, I can let you go. So as soon as I get off, my phone's just like, I'm just gonna stop working. So the internet just went down on my phone. Nothing would load. I'm just like, ZD. I had like the Dinkelberg moment. Dinkelberg.
Here, I'll describe to you what it is. So you've heard of Hotline Miami, right?
Yes.
Same developer, and you played a little bit of Gods Will Be Watching. I played it with you.
Yes.
One time. Same developer. The style of Gods Will Be Watching, that kind of pixel art style, is in the game for Eider, Mother Russia Bleeds, and Crossing Souls.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, Eider and Crossing Souls look like same style game. Ronin and Mother Russia Bleeds look like similar style games, and Eider, Mother Russia Bleeds, and Crossing Souls all have similar art style. So, that's the only issue I have with the Devolver game.
Is it a package? Like
No, they're just 4 different games that they're coming out with in the near future.
They're indie projects, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Crossing Souls, I'm interested in because it's kind of like an 80s approach to things, and I'm kind of interested in what that will be like. Though, gameplay-wise, they've only showed so much. So, we'll have to see out of that. The next one, I had no idea what this game was until it got shown, but you know it, and you have a story about it. It's Shenmue III that they're announcing, and here, why don't you tell the story?
Well, no, it was my brother. When I was younger, I used to watch my brother play video games all the time, and I didn't know. I actually just found the story out before we did this. Started this podcast, but he was telling me how when he was younger, when he played Shenmue 1 on the Dreamcast. Okay, this is way back. Played on the Dreamcast, and then they released Shenmue 2, but he couldn't. I forget why. Like it wasn't released, or like he couldn't find a copy of it. I don't know what the problem was. So he bought a European. They didn't have a
US release or something.
They might have. Yeah, they might have not released in the US. So he bought a European version, or something like that, and it didn't work on his Dreamcast because it was the US Dreamcast. So he that didn't work. So what he had to do was try and mod his Dreamcast, so that it would work. And while modding it, he broke his Dreamcast. So when I'm a kid, I'm like, Justin, you broke the Dreamcast. Which is like, because I actually really like the Dreamcast. Honestly, I play the heck out of the Dreamcast.
I like little Tyler there. Justin, you broke the Dreamcast.
Where did it go? It ran away. Oh, okay.
Just like your hamster and your mother.
Whoa. But so no, he got a new Dreamcast, but then he was still never able to play Shenmue. So for the rest of his life, since he bought Shenmue 2, it's just in a box, sitting there. It's one of his favorite games too, and he just never could play it. He just gets to look at it. So he now is really excited that he might be able to play the third one. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Shenmue?
I looked it up afterward. It kind of reminds me of Deadly Premonition, the way they do their mechanic. It's an open world game, action adventure. It's got day-night cycle, weather.
Yeah, and there's I remember in the first one you could just go to an arcade, and you could play all the arcade games there. Mm-hmm. Like anything there you could play, and I thought that was, as a kid, I thought that was like really awesome. But like there's actually like challenges with this. There's so many mini challenges in the game. Of the first one anyways. I don't know how the third one's going to be, but there were so many mini challenges as you played that you just never really got bored. And I think that was something that I liked as a kid because my brother would always be stuck on something because there was always something cool to do in there. So that I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
I think this has potential on the new console because that concept and idea, with Shenmue and Deadly Premonition, they both wanted to do these games where everything like kind of worked out like clockwork, and you had this world that you could explore, and depending on the time of day, a new challenge could be available, or someone could be going somewhere. So I think nowadays with the new consoles out, you could probably achieve that much better than you could on, say, a Dreamcast or a PlayStation.
I'm saying. I feel like these consoles will now be able to do the concepts of games and the gameplay options that they never were able to do with the older consoles because they have so much technology now. They'll be able to achieve these concepts that they've been working on for years. So if we can see this, if Shenmue 3 can do, maybe it will do things it wanted to do in the first one, but it couldn't do it. So now it could do it. So with a lot of the other games as well, it's just more of a hope that we might see some new stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And I really like the story behind Shenmue 3 because he was trying to get this kickstarted and like funded for a while, and PlayStation and Sony, they decided to give them the rest of the funding so they could continue the game and put it on the Sony console. So I thought that was really nice of them to do that. I mean, granted, it's a money-making venture, but it's still a really good money-making venture. But
supporting something that might be really, really popular. So it's, you never know.
And the next one was Batman Arkham Knight. Really solid trailers for this.
The game's coming out, like a week?
Yeah. Well, wait, when is it coming out? I don't have that written down.
Coming out very, very soon. Very soon. I forget the release date.
Yeah. So they did the first trailer. They had the Joker being loaded into this thing. He's dead, and they cremate him.
Yeah.
And as they say that, and they said, this is how the Batman died. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Then they go to the second part of the trailer of the cop in the diner.
Yeah.
And he gets fear gassed, and he starts seeing zombies, and he's shooting people, but they're actually people in the diner that are innocent bystanders. Like, that was some intense stuff coming out of the Batman trailer.
It's going to be a great game. I mean, the other two were great as well. And this game is just living up. It probably will live up to the hype just like the other ones. And you can't go wrong with a Batman game. It's one of the few games...
Well, you can technically back in the old days, but lately they've been really good.
Well, yeah. yeah. What I'm saying is that this series so far... most games based off movies and stuff like that usually aren't very good. I mean, well, name one that's based off a superhero is probably the worst game you've ever seen. Super Mario. Not Super Mario.
Mario.
Super Mario 64. Worst game. No, I'm just kidding.
Worst game.
Superman 64 is probably that's a worst example of a superhero game.
So if I remember correctly, a lot of people really said that Spider-Man 2, the video game, was actually really good.
I played that game.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best superhero movie license title games.
But it's usually hit or miss when you make a game based off of those. And but the Batman games that recently have all really lived up to the potential that they can do. Graphically, it's just insane. The first one was graphically insane, and it just gets better and better and better with the hardware that they can use. And it's just, the story's probably going to be really cool, really awesome, and it's based off the trailer. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and the next thing they talked about, I'm only going to mention this quick because I don't really see much here that was really worth mentioning. They talked about the Morpheus and virtual reality stuff. They showed a couple of games that they had forward, just in like minor detail. Like they showed a thing with a shark and whatnot. But I don't think it's at a point yet where we're going to see like, your AAA titles being VR compatible and...
Microsoft's, I think, ahead of the game with that using the Oculus, because the Oculus is a lot more farther along in development.
Yeah.
And they are hinting at using it for games. I mean, the whole Minecraft thing was really cool.
Yeah, that was with the HoloLens.
Yeah, HoloLens.
So the issue with the HoloLens, though that demonstration was really good, it's not 100% applicable at this time, because I'm assuming this is going to be an expensive piece of hardware. The HoloLens.
Start, yes.
So, I mean, what else can you do with it other than, look at your Minecraft world on a table?
When they release these virtual reality things, they're going to be very expensive. But until they make their money back for all the research and development that they've had to go through, then they'll lower the price down. But they first have to get the people to really fall for it. And I think if I can talk about virtual reality, it's just more like, for an example, I mean, it's in a hardware or a type of gameplay that's it's always been wanted, but it's like, for example, it's like with the Wii when it first started with the whole that thing, it was cool to people, but like the Wiimote with that whole style of
gameplay,
yeah, it was really out of the box at the time. People were like, whoa, what the hell is this, but luckily it was received well enough for it to become a long-term game console. But then you have the example as the Kinect. that they thought they had something going with that, and that bombed. The Kinect was a dud. I mean, it could have done cool things, just like virtual reality. It can do good things, but will it catch on? Will they be able to make good games for it? Who knows? We're in a state where games are just keep improving one step at a time. So who knows? In 2 years, you don't even know where video games are going to be in 2 years or even 3 years. Even 1 year. I mean, next year we don't know where we're going to be. They might have virtual reality next year. It might be in everyone's house, but it's so you can't predict it. It's new equipment. When you have new consoles, you can kind of predict. It's like, oh, the graphics are going to be better. Oh, the controller will be a little cooler. You can predict that. But when it comes to hardware and it comes to equipment, things that can make the experience different, it's risky. It's a very risky business when it comes to the equipment for gaming. So.
Mm-hmm. And while they did do some good VR demonstrations this year, I think we're not going to really see the full potential of it until a couple more E3s.
I think next year they're going to have more of a demo.
Yeah.
I think they'll have more of a demo next year. Definitely. So
the next thing, this one, I think, in my opinion, this is kind of like the sleeper hit of the conference, because I think this is a really big thing. The PlayStation View, the concept of it, the idea.
Yeah, you were talking.
The idea that you don't need to be subscribed to a cable box or anything to get all these cool channels and whatnot.
Well, they're definitely targeting the right crowd. Because, I mean, for example, my brother, he doesn't have cable. He pays his monthly subscription to Hulu and to Netflix or whatever, those kind of services. Mostly Hulu now. He used to do Netflix, but now he does Hulu because he likes to watch. He also does Crunchyroll and all that. But I feel like gamers now with the consoles, if they use their console every day, they turn to more Netflix and Hulu, and they don't really watch TV anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the right direction for Sony because they have the good name for it. They can market something like this, and especially, I mean, it's interesting to me. I mean, if I don't really watch a lot, like for example, because you can probably buy like ESPN, right, as a station. So like I don't really watch all the other stations. Like I don't watch I don't know, TLC, and that's part of basic cable. I don't watch TLC. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love ESPN and I like I like sports. That's the only thing I watch TV for. So I could just say I want to pay for ESPN. That's it, and that's what I can have to watch.
Mm-hmm. Like me, I'm a big racing and motorsports fans. I watch, NASCAR. I watch DTM, and all the other series. So they have certain channels on there that I watch. Other than that, outside of it, I only watch like TBS for Conan, and Disney XD for Gravity Falls. Other than that, there's really not much I watch on TV.
Well, let me ask you this though: you don't have a console right now, you don't have a PS4, you don't have an Xbox, you don't have a next gen. I'm saying you don't have a next gen console. Something like this, and the games that are coming out now. This is just more of a question. Would this lean you more towards possibly getting a PS4?
It actually does, simply because of this PlayStation View. Because just think about that. If you can get whatever channels you want, you could cancel your cable subscription, and that saves you money. So that means you can warrant buying a console, because it's basically replacing your cable box, and it's not a monthly payment. Well, I mean, View is probably a monthly payment, but the console itself isn't a monthly payment, so you can have games for it too. And if you decide to go PlayStation Plus, you can get free games with that, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on.
And especially the kind of gamer you are, John, PS Plus is for you. Because it's all games that you really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I know you are the spokesperson for Sony, so I know you're trying to have me on board. But this PlayStation View is they're only launching in LA at the moment, and they're going to just use it as like a demo service. If this thing becomes bigger and more popular and actually works properly, this could be a big consideration to go there. Because think about it, if I get Netflix and I get View, that's going to be... I'm set. I don't need a cable box.
I know. And
this was the big step that these guys needed to do to kind of tackle the cable companies and the dish companies, and also for the television companies to get their channels watched by more people, because they don't have to worry about dealing with the cable companies and their packages.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Which means someone at Sony is going to get murdered by Comcast.
Yeah. But no, it's definitely a genius idea. I mean, they can get more of the casual gamers involved with a subscription, using their console more, and I feel like that's just really, really cool idea.
Mm-hmm. And the next thing they talked about was Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
Basically, what they said was Activision and PlayStation are kind of doing a joint operation, so it's going to be coming first to PlayStation 4 than the other consoles. And I think that's a big hit in the kind of the Halo versus Call of Duty, Microsoft versus Sony war. Because now you got the other big franchise coming to them first. So you're going to attract some people who played Call of Duty on Xbox, maybe going over the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, and it's again, I'm not big into the Call of Duty games. I used to play the older ones a lot, but nowadays I got a different vibe towards gaming. But it's definitely a smart move by Sony in the battle of console wars, because you have all those people that the only reason why they buy an Xbox is for shooter games and stuff like that, like Call of Duty and Halo and stuff like that, whereas Sony's never really had those. They have shooter games, they have the bigger titles, but they didn't have this big title. You know, they haven't been able to collab with them, and this being one of the biggest series, and especially Black Ops 3, going to be hyped up, obviously, like every other Call of Duty game. But it's definitely going to get people to really turn their heads, especially from Xbox fans. They're going to be like, whoa, you know, they got all this shit, and then they got this shit now too. Oh my gosh. You know? And it's going to lean people to probably want to buy a PS4. Especially people that haven't been able to decide if they want a new console yet. This is what they're doing. They're trying to get those people that still are on the fence, like you. I mean, you definitely would, if you were to buy a console, you'd probably buy a PS4. You wouldn't buy an Xbox One.
Oh yeah, probably, because the Xbox One doesn't have enough games that interest me, and Nintendo's got the games that interest me, but I don't like the Wii U as much as the PlayStation 4 in terms of setup and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely vouch for that. But you know, it's a smart move, like I said, by Sony, and they're probably going to do a lot more. But again, I can't really talk about it too much because I'm not really big into it. So it's not really as exciting to me. It's just more, we could just state, yeah, that's a smart move by Sony.
Yeah. It's not even much about the game here itself, because the game, it basically looks like, another Call of Duty. Looks slightly nicer. They say there's going to be more story, but...
Black Ops has had more story compared to the other Call of Duties.
Yeah.
I could tell you that much. I mean, it's definitely unique with the time travel now. You can pick a spot in time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool. But it's something that wouldn't make me want to buy it.
Yeah. So... we talked about Disney Infinity earlier. We don't really need to go back to it. Do you want to talk a little bit more about Star Wars Battlefront?
I basically, if you want to really just state it now, it's just beautiful looking game. It's just another Star Wars Battlefront. It's a shooter, but the visuals of it are so crisp, so clean. The motion, the frames of how smooth the frames are. It's insane how much technicality is going into this game. I mean, the game's been a long time coming. I mean, the second one was released in I forget what year it was released. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was released a long time ago. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth the hype. I mean, it's coming out on my birthday, so all my friends and family, wink, wink. So.
Yeah, I looked at the trailer. It was a really nice looking trailer. It got me hyped a bit, even though I like Star Wars. I'm not the hugest Star Wars fan though.
That's the thing. I think it's going to get people that aren't big into Star Wars, because the mechanics of it are still a really good shooter game, a still really good competitive shooter game, and I think that's what's going to be a good best of both worlds for the game and the company, is they're going to get that much sales out of both sides. So yeah. Now, the last thing we want to talk about is the big finale, which was Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. And I do want to say, they did a gameplay trailer. It looked beautiful. Oh my god. All the people there, the graphics, the way the area looked. The only thing that bugs me about this one is that it's not an open world. Well, I mean, yeah, I know, but has Uncharted ever been really open world?
No, but like that's just a testament to how well they made their map that I would want to explore it outside of the mission itself.
Well, I mean, you do explore a lot of it, but again, remember, it's more of a movie focused game, so it's
Yeah.
supposed to be more. It's a game. Can be challenging, but it's also an experience.
Mhm.
So when you have an experience like that, it's got to be linear. I mean, you can't make it too open world because then people won't get the full experience because they'll, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
They
map
want you
itself kind
to.
of reminded me of something that you would see out of, like, Just Cause, which, we did see Just Cause stuff, but
Yeah.
like, if it was in that game, that would have been perfect for me because Just Cause, I really like the setting for it. It's a really nice game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being able to explore that setting in, like, the Just Cause format, that would have been really fun. But not to take away from Uncharted at all because it was a really solid demonstration.
Well, when is Uncharted really disappointed? That's the big thing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, every year when they show their new stuff going on, it's just so nice. It's so beautiful. I mean, they really used the potential of the console, and they really worked hard on it, and they're still working on it. It's gonna get better. I think my favorite part was like when he's walking through the crowd. He makes comments like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me," but
He crashed into the people and
Yeah, yeah. I think those little subtle things is what really gets you immersed in the setting of the game, and it makes you not want to put the controller down because it's like you feel like you are living in that world and the environment.
though they did break my immersion slightly when they didn't get the game working properly the first time.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
I know they stopped it. Maybe they were having an issue with their controller or something.
It might. I mean, yeah, it might have just just turned off. I don't know what happened, but it definitely was cool. The whole, I mean, besides that, I mean, they definitely did a really good job. I mean, we all expected most of the stuff. There was a lot of unexpected stuff in Sony, but Uncharted was the big expected one. Like everyone knew that was going to happen. Um, so
Yeah.
a grand overview though. It's going to be a good game for sure.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I'm wondering is that with a title, A Thief's End, does that mean it's going to be the last in the series, or if it's just that's what it's called or something?
It might pull a Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah.
at World's End, but we'll make another one.
We went past the world.
Yeah.
Space pirates.
But no, it's a franchise that if this does so well again, they might even make a sub series. They might make us if this is the last game in the series. Just say they'll just make a new story.
Uncharted. This time it's charted.
Yeah.
Here's the chart.
But no, the thing they'll just do a new story with those same effects because it's like the same as The Last of Us. It's just you get that. I mean, Naughty Dog, just known for creating a great story that gets you really synced into it because it's got good mechanics, it's got amazing visuals, and the story is like a movie. So you want to get to the end, and that's what makes the game so popular. That's why like anything made by Naughty Dog is it's just a good company. They make really good games if you just flat out.
All right. So that does it for the Sony conference. A lot of neat stuff that we talked about here today. So what is your final overview of Sony's conference? What do you think about it this year compared to other conferences and compared to last year?
Well, we'll start off compared to last year. I think they did a really good job really keeping their image alive. That's what I said in the beginning is that they had such a good year last year. They had to just play it safe, really show some big titles. Don't do anything. You notice that they didn't really show anything about the Vita. They showed one little thing, but I think they completely dropped it now. It's completely off the table for discussion. They really pushed their games. They really pushed the newer IPs, and I think it was a smart move. What they did, honestly, is that they pushed the newer IPs in the beginning, and left Uncharted at the end because it's like you want to get people's attention first, and people already know Uncharted is going to be first. If they opened with Uncharted, I feel like it wouldn't have had as much of a draw time. I mean, you could probably look at the statistics on like the streaming count, like how many people were watching in certain parts of it. And I mean, you can probably see there's more people watching in the beginning, and then near the end, it's like, okay, this is more predictable now. But compared to the other conferences, I would say Sony won. due to the fact that they just had so many games that just look so promising.
I agree with you because I think of all the conferences, Sony's was the most consistent.
Yeah.
Very few low points. I mean, the only ones I thought were kind of low points in this were, World of Final Fantasy was kind of a low point, but even so, that was just they said it. It was more of the Square Enix one's game. And I think Devolver's was also kind of like a lull because nothing really in there impressed me too much other than Crossing Souls. And even so, that's just like it's just
but
they
gotta show what they got going on. They're not gonna show. They're gonna show you the bad. They're gonna show you the good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like you can make a perfect conference because I'm not interested in Call of Duty, so I would say that part is lacking in my opinion. But Call of Duty is a big thing, so you know that it's a good part of their stream. I just think that they were the most consistent because most of their titles were really strong. They really got the crowd excited. Other conferences like Nintendo and Microsoft, they had some lulls in there that kind of made things a little dry at times.
I could tell you one difference that I do like how Sony handles their conferences. Microsoft, they hype up each game. Like, they talk for so long before each game. Where when they opened, they just go right into the games. It's like, oh, there they are. This is what we got.
Be happy.
They just showed... Yeah, well, they showed one after the next. If you notice in the opening couple minutes, they just kept showing. If you're watching it live and on streaming, you don't know what's coming up. They didn't hype it at all, so you're just more like, oh, like you're always like, oh my gosh, that looks awesome. But because they're not like, and the next, like the Infinity guy, and this game is coming and you're ready for it. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like Sony, how they approach it's more about, these are the games. This is what we're doing. You're going to like it. That's it. Yeah. Deal with it if you don't.
So this has been the Sony Conference podcast. If you liked what you saw here today, hit the subscription. If you want to jump to any point in the video, we're going to have a timetable down below where we talk about all of our topics. Also, we're going to try and link as many trailers as we can down below to each of these games. We're going to try and find all the trailers on YouTube and link them there so you can see them for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Continue the discussion down below in the comments. We want to know what you guys think about all this.
Oh, yeah. Please. We want to hear it. You might disagree with what I'm saying. You might disagree with John's saying. But you know what? Opinion's an opinion. So, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. See you later.
See ya!